Today, we're diving into a popular post from the Reddit titled as "Downstairs Neighbors Wouldn't Turn Down Music, Nuked Them from Orbit." This post received 27,702 upvotes. Posted by Grayspot00. The post reads as follows. Was suggested to cross-post from r. malicious compliance. I was inspired by a recent post to tell my own bad neighbor story. Can't think of a better place to post it. Flashback to 2014. Or so I moved out on my own in 2013 and moved into an old house converted into a 2-floor apartment, directly across from my future in-laws. The downstairs neighbors were loud, blaring music at all hours. Yes, all of the hours. Wouldn't cut the grass or take out the trash on our shared schedule. Crappy neighbors, but never bothered me directly. The guy was pretty chill when sober and would turn the music down a little when I texted him. He was okay until his girlfriend moved in. Now add shouting matches to the mix, and all of the sudden my requests to turn down the music makes him turn it up. I can barely walk on my super thin floor without her banging on the ceiling with a broom. I was okay since I am heavy sleeper and could sleep through anything. My wife moved in, and I quickly found out that she is quite the opposite. Fan on turned at a certain angle in the doorway of the bathroom. Door closed halfway. Blackout curtains with them taped to the wall so zero light comes through. Zero sounds other than the fan. You get the idea. I told her that we can't expect them to remain silent when she's ready for bed. We need to be reasonable. But the wall-rattling music needs to stop during the night. She hated it during the day, but I told her there's nothing we can do then, so she would go to her parents' house a lot during the day. I talked to neighbor guy. He said, yeah man, that's cool. But it turns out the girlfriend wasn't having it, and his attitude then changed to, yeah well it's our house so you can go F yourself if you think you can tell us what to do, and you can move out if you don't like it. Something definitely had to change once she was pregnant. And then the baby came. So I did the only thing I could do. I fought fire with fire, and maliciously complied with the law to the T. I could only report them for noise after 11 p.m. I now forget the morning hour when the noise could start, but I believe it was 9 a.m. My dad has these huge old concert speakers in his garage. Professional grade, black leather bound, 5 feet tall and 3 feet wide, and a pretty nice, vintage stereo amp. He has 2, but my apartment was so small I sadly only had room for 1. We replaced our coffee table with this thing, laid face down onto our thin, office carpet. Tired of his crap tunes, I tested this Geneva Convention breaking device when they weren't home. Holy cow. I had to take everything down from tables, counters and shelves because they would shake off. I prepared audio files to feed the stereo. I was giddy like a kid with a new Christmas toy. I turned it on when I left for work and got my wife up to send her to her parents. I came home from work and hung out at her parents until it was close to bedtime. They resisted for 3 days. On day 2, I found a pile of manure on my doorstep, but it didn't faze me. I cycled between sine, saw, square waves in clashing chords, marching music, Washington Post march on loop, preaching clips. They weren't just atheist, but outspoken anti-Christian. So it was a must. The most stupid songs you could think of, Captain Planet theme song, Chicken Dance, etc. This poor old house rattled in ways I didn't think possible. The vibrations from the sine wave would make your vision blur. I eventually got a text from him that read, "Sorry man, you can stop now." I did not. He needed a few more days to let it sink in. Plus I had so much fun putting it together. They complained to the police and the landlord. There was nothing they could do since I wasn't doing anything wrong. I didn't even hear music during the time of peace to follow. It was so quiet. They would build up their courage and try again every few weeks when I wasn't home, but my wife was. I then showed her how to tame the beast so she could let it loose while I was away. I had to give them a spanking every now and then, but they learned. They were so happy when we moved out. A comment from user Deus Otiosis says, "Reminds me of that guy who had upstairs neighbors who would clomp around all day and night like a pack of elephants. Had similar speakers on stands, facing upwards. Then he took a mic, added a few seconds delay, and played back their noise to them. The cops came and he showed them the rig, so they just laughed and asked them upstairs to stop. This comment received 1760 upvotes. A comment from user FabricNut85 says, I had a friend who lived in the middle story of a 3-flat. The upstairs neighbors liked rockabilly. The downstairs neighbors thought it was him playing it. One night, middle of the night, upstairs neighbors start again. Downstairs neighbors crank up their mariachi music to combat it. Friend got out his bagpipes and ended it all. This comment received 5769 upvotes. A comment from user Vajrk says, a 5-second loop of the Macarena and a guitar amp taught my neighbor the power of STFU at uni. I'd leave it on all fucking day. Wanna party every night until dawn when I got exams? Eat shit, motherfucker. This comment received 672 upvotes. A comment from user Cat Moon says, downstairs neighbors should realize that they have a disadvantage in these kinds of disputes. You literally had the high ground. Any noise you made on your floor was transmitted directly into their apartment. They would have had to be so much louder to have the same effect upwards. This comment received 8032 upvotes. A reply from the original author Greyspot00 says, until this happened, I tiptoed around my house trying to be a good neighbor because I knew our floors are super thin. There are places in the floor where my foot would surely fall through if I put all my weight on it. It was a poorly converted house. This reply received 3977 upvotes. A comment from user that MFFM says, I had a similar situation with the people in the apartment next door to me blasting bachata music all night. Little did they know that I used to run an open mic night and had a whole PA system, with 4-foot-tall speakers, right on the other side of their bedroom wall, but was never enough of an asshole to use it at home, until they started their all-night dance parties. I waited until their music went off in the morning, spun the speakers around to face their apartment, and blasted the industrial band Ministry through their walls while they were trying to sleep. They cut that shit out immediately. This comment received 729 upvotes. A comment from user Ryguy55 says, I love these stories and don't understand how people can so disrespectful to strangers living in the same building as them. I had a similar dispute with upstairs neighbors. The dude was cool but his wife never left the upstairs apartment, slept all day, and did housework in the middle of the night. Vacuum cleaners and music and yelling at the kids at 3 a.m. Eventually it hit that point that they got offended by my complaining and started be dicks on purpose. Unfortunately the poor assholes were unaware that I play drums in a heavy metal band and often work from home during the week. Checkmate cunt. Hope you like blast beats. They eventually got thrown out for having multiple people living there illegally and I played the role of poor victimized downstairs neighbor. This comment received 258 upvotes. A comment from user Beerbelly Begone says, this is beautiful. It brought a tear to my eye. Thank you for being the neighbor we all need and they so rightfully deserved. Also, sorry man, you can stop now. Best text apology ever. So glad you didn't, though. This comment received 1791 upvotes. A reply from user Crimson Blade 911 says, do people just have each other's numbers all the time? I don't think I've ever had more than one neighbor's numbers ever, and it was a neighbor met through friends that lived 4 floors apart. This is weird to me. This reply received 25 upvotes. A reply from the original author Greyspot00 says, like I said, he was pretty cool when I first moved in. He gave me his number in case I needed to ask him to move his big work truck which blocked most of our share parking space. It was fine except when his GF came over there was nowhere to park, so he was nice enough to park down the street. For a while. This reply received 7 upvotes. A comment from user Zero Rheosaurus says, I thought shitting on people's doorstep was just a saying. Never knew it actually happened. This comment received 362 upvotes. A reply from the original author Greyspot00 says, nope, it was quite a large pile of manure. This reply received 243 upvotes. A comment from user DougDigity says, Geneva Convention breaking device. That killed me. This comment received 432 upvotes. A comment from user Pinkfatrat says, Captain Planet. I had a CD of TV tunes that was on. Good job. This comment received 192 upvotes. A comment from user The Go Kid says, I find this inspiring. I have a neighbor who spends most of his days outside my front window hitting his punch bag, and snotting out of his nose when he gets worked up, smoking weed, entertaining other chavs. I wish I had an equivalent of this to pay him back with. This comment received 220 upvotes. A comment from user Rody114 says, I also would have played intermittent sounds. Low hum for hours, with loud screams and booms erratically every 3 minutes to an hour. Jump scares all day. This comment received 120 upvotes. A comment from user Dr. Hugh says, Did you use the Shepherd tone at all? This comment received 53 upvotes. A reply from the original author Greyspot00 says, Yes. I couldn't think of the name of it when posting, and I felt like an idiot trying to describe it to Google. This reply received 9 upvotes. A comment from user SFXBTPD says, Were the speakers Cornwalls by any chance? They've been making them for like 40 years and they are fairly popular. https://www.amazon.com/clipsha-cornwall-ie-floorstanding-loudspeaker/dp/b000pt94v2. This comment received 43 upvotes. A reply from the original author Greyspot00 says, Not sure of the brand. I'll see if I can get a pic of it soon. It's much bigger than the one shown in that listing. This reply received 54 upvotes. A comment from user Connell Fisher says, This reminds me of that massive R. Tifu post. https://www.reddit.com/r/tifu/comments/62lhtb/tifu_by_new_neighbors/closing parenthesis, where a person had neighbors who would freak out if op made any amount of noise. It's well worth giving it a read if you have the time. It's a rollercoaster of emotions. He went the legal route though, while you went the piss them the fuck off route. This comment received 46 upvotes. A comment from user Dr_McBlorf says, When I was in college I lived next door to a bunch of frat boys. One night they were playing a particularly obnoxious drinking game that involved a lot of screaming followed by them running up and down the stairs, in and out of the apartment and down the hall. I assume naked. They finally stopped around 6 a.m. We waited an hour and then put Saturday Night Fever on full blast and turned the speakers towards their wall. They had the nerve to knock on our door 5 minutes later telling us to keep quiet. This comment received 36 upvotes. A comment from user Awalrub says, I would have played What's New Pussycat on repeat. This comment received 39 upvotes. A comment from user Deleep88 says, Way to take me back to my childhood with the Captain Planet theme song. Earth, fire, wind, water, heart. With your powers combined, I am Captain Planet. This comment received 84 upvotes. A comment from user An anonymous user says, The law allows you to call the police for disturbing the peace no matter what time of day it is. This comment received 212 upvotes. A comment from user Rody114 says, Should have played the Office theme. It's the loudest song known to man. This comment received 56 upvotes. A comment from user Mr. Joneser says, The old school, eye for an eye, approach. Very well done indeed. Edit. I'm an idiot, see below. This comment received 43 upvotes. A comment from user Discogravy says, For future reference, playlists, Coil, Time Machines Lou Reed, Metal Machine Music Merzbow, Pulse Demon. This comment received 31 upvotes. A comment from user An anonymous user says, Sheesh. Some people. When living in the dorms in college, my second year, I had a pair of guys on the floor. I want to say 2 doors down from me, who listened to the most obnoxious music at full volume while asleep. The first night of this shit, I tried turning up the speakers on my own computer to full volume and blaring some obnoxious shit back at them. No dice. Someone eventually got them to knock it off. Second night, I knocked on their door. No answer. I put both fists together and slammed the door a few times. No answer. I damn near kicked the door down, and finally one of these brain-dead idiots opened the door, looking half asleep and what I know to be high as a fucking kite. I just screamed in his face to turn his shit off or I'd be breaking his goddamn face and the stereo. No problems after that. This comment received 36 upvotes.